Was this the most shocking world championships in track and field history? We're going to find out on this week's Throw Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Throw Show. I am, of course, your host, Jason, joined, as always, by the People's Champ, Olympic trials competitor. He is the head throws coach of youth development. Team Fire Me Up himself, Coach Sam Weeks.
Yes, sir. What's up? What's up?
Okay, so we are going to do another two-part throw show as we did last time when we previewed this year's World Championships in Tokyo, Japan. Well, this is going to be our recap of those championships. And in this video, we are going to be discussing the women's discus, the men's javelin, the women's javelin, and of course, the men's discus. And if you know Sam and I, you know Throws University, you know we are really happy about the results that happened in that event especially. So actually, I want you to make sure you stay tuned to the end of this show to hear our coverage of the men's discus, because we have a special surprise in store for you guys, Throws University, and even Garage Strength fans that you're going to see next Friday after this video gets released, as we have an exclusive interview with one of the medalists. So stay tuned. So we're going to get right into it as we are starting off with the women's discus. And if you watched our preview show, you know that Sam and I did our own predictions for this event. We're actually going to go over the total points in which we scored between our predictions. Sam, just as a general thought of this year's World Championships, I don't think we did too good of a job.
No, we did not. We threw out our predictions out there, and I think we were less than like 10% correct.
If we scored on the SAT, probably about maybe like a 300.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah. But we will reveal at the end of next week's at the end of next episode who actually won out in predictions. We basically decided that whoever would lose has to pay for the other's Chipotle order. So you'll find out in the next few days what happens when we cover the shot put and, of course, the hammer throw. So as we get into the women's discus, I actually think I did pretty well here. This is probably my best event in terms of scoring, as we saw. And this is something that you're going to see with pretty much every event that happened at this year's World Championships. Just shocking results across the board. People that you just wouldn't expect to come out on top, coming out on top. Every event, I feel like, had some sort of surprise in the medal stand. One that, you know, if you're following the sport, probably would not have predicted. But as you can see up on screen, we have the results of the women's discus. We actually have all attempts pulled up. And if you see, of course, our girl, she's made every single throw show this outdoor season. She might have officially claimed the title of Queen of the Discus from Sandra Elkasevich, as Valerie Allman, who's undefeated for over 2 seasons right now, claims her first world championship, throwing 69.48. In second place, we saw Jorinde van Klinken claiming her first global medal for the Netherlands in silver medal. And a surprise in the bronze medal position as we see Celinda Morales out of Cuba hit a massive personal best over 67 meters to claim her first world medal in the bronze medal position. Sam, what did you think of this competition as you were watching it? And honestly, I want to throw out another shot before we get into that, is Vanessa Kamga, 4th place, setting a new national record, essentially topping what she did in Paris last year, where she also didn't make the medals, but again set her national record. She's kind of proving out to be sort of like the Madison Lee Wesh of the women's discus, constantly performing on the big stage when it counts at Worlds or Olympic Games. Sam, what'd you think of this competition?
Yeah, so I remember just round 1, I knew Val was going to go crazy. I believe she was the first thrower, or, you know, she was early on in the competition, so yep. I know she was going to set it off. And obviously she went 67, 63, and that was like huge. I was like, okay, that's a good start. I know there's a little bit more, but that's a really good start. And then Jorinde answered that with a 67.50, and I was like, oh, we have a battle. Like, obviously, I picked Val to win it all, and I was like, okay, I think it's not going to be like that close of a race, but Urinde was right there on round one. So I was like, okay, we got ourselves a show. And obviously throughout the competitions, I felt like it was just Urinde and Val kind of duking it out. Now, Val was definitely a little more consistent on the higher end, finishing out at 69.48. But just like going through, I was just like, those two are clearly duking it out. And then it's like a fight for third spot where Morales of Cuba went huge on attempt 3, going 67.25.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone saw that coming.
Nope.
I remember watching it, and I was freaking out. Me and Timon were watching it on the TV, and I was like, whoa, like, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was definitely a big surprise in this competition. And then, obviously, like you said, Vanessa Comga, she got a national record. She's been killing it, low-key. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like if there's anyone who's truly on the come-up, I feel like it's her. Definitely Urinde. Urinde has been doing really, really well at the higher level meets the past couple years. Obviously, Morales made a big name for herself. You still have Loggy in there who did really, really well, considering all things. I feel like, Vanessa, Urinde, they're definitely on that next up. Obviously, we have Loggy who's been there. We have Val who's been there. Obviously, Sandra, she did well. She got 5th. So, women's discus is feeding us all.
Yeah, and one thing you got to point out is just the quality of this competition overall. 65 meters was 8th place.
Yeah.
And I was actually kind of happy to see Shanice Kraft hit a mark like that. I've been a fan of her for a while. She was a stud athlete as a junior. She threw 65, 66 meters when she was only like 19, 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And she was competing in diamond leagues like over 10 years ago. So I'm happy to see her coming back. 65 meters for a competition this deep, it's like, you can say like, Loggy got 6th place, but Loggy throwing 65 meters in stadium, like that's a great result for her. I was there to watch her in qualifying. And she was so happy to get that mark, be auto Q, round 3 of qualifying. I wasn't able to see the women's discus live, unfortunately. But this is also me saying I was actually at the Tokyo World Championships, so I got to see a few of these events live. I only got to see the men's shot put final, which we'll cover in the next episode. But yeah, overall, like the quality of women's discus is insane. It's exciting to see a new face like Morales pop up, because you see Elkasevich, you see Tasaga, and you also have Bin Fang. Like these are people that have like built up the sport. They've been the faces of the sport for the last 5 to 10 years, and I think to see them being overtaken is great to see. But I also like the fact that they're still in the mix, and it's like come next World Championships in Beijing, it's like, outside of Val, it's still going to be too close to call for any of these medals, I predict.
Yeah.
So I need to say where we're at with our current points count in our predictions. So the way we decided to go about predictions is if you get the gold medal position right, silver medal position right, bronze medal position right. If you get the gold medal, you get 3 points, silver medal 2 points, and then if you get the bronze medal position for an event, you get 1 point. So we may have had a lot of misses, as you're going to see in our predictions as we discuss who we had. Sam, who did you have as your predictions going into this event?
So I had Val winning. I had Sandra getting silver, and I had Loggy getting bronze.
I mean, Val, I think, was a given. I think those are really solid picks. Loggy was the defending world champion. Sandra, queen of the discus, multiple Olympic champion. So what I had was Val getting first, as expected. But I also had a feeling about Urinde. She was having a great season. She lived up to those expectations in the silver medal position. But like you, I also thought Loggy was going to get in the bronze medal position. I don't think anyone really expected Morelos to do what she did, but to hit a personal best at the World Championships, that's phenomenal. So if you look at the point standing between you and I as of right now, we both get 3 points for getting Val, but I get 2 points for choosing Urinde. So as of right now, we're standing at 5-3 after the women's discus.
Throws coaches, how do you peak your throwers at the perfect time. How do you get them to throw as far as possible during championship season? That might be at the state championship level. That might be at the NCAA collegiate level. These are all factors that a lot of throws coaches are struggling with and dealing with. And it comes back to understanding the biomechanics of throwing. It comes back to understanding how to execute technique and how to approach that competition setting with the highest mental degree that you can have. And we're going to provide this all for you guys at the 2025 Throws Coaches Clinic. And we're going to have Dr. Christoph Kipp, Darrell Hill, Diamond League champ, 2016 Olympian, Sam Weeks, who's coached All-Americans and state champs here in Pennsylvania, myself included. We're going to be giving you guys a bunch of presentations, hands-on applied coaching as well, and you're going to be able to take this stuff away to help you become a better coach. This year's Coaches Clinic is November 21st and 22nd here in Fleetwood, Pennsylvania. Sign up down below to get that early bird discount, 20% off. It ends October 31st. Peace.
And now we're going to get into the Javelin for men. Again, this is another event where you saw a shock of shocks. And Sam, I know you're really, really happy with the results of this event, especially based off of your predictions. But we saw Kishorn Walcott, the 2012 Olympic champion. He won that when he was only 19 years old. I remember watching that live because he just came off of winning the World Junior Championships like a month or two earlier. Threw 84 meters to win that title. Has had a bit of a medal drought for quite a while. I think he was a bronze medal position at World Championships. I can't remember which. But to come out 13 years later to capture another global crown, Kishorn Walcott, kind of unexpected, but he's an incredible athlete. He's a 90-meter thrower at his best. We also saw Anderson Peters, who's a world champion, 90-meter thrower as well, get 87 meters to get silver. And then we saw your boy, our boy, America's own Curtis Thompson to be the first American bronze medalist in the men's javelin. Ironically, since the last World Championships in Japan, when Bro Greer got the bronze medal in Osaka. Sam, what did you think of this event? And we kind of noticed that some of the big hitters we were expecting to perform well didn't live up to the expectations we were originally thinking.
Yeah, so I remember watching this competition. I was really like, it's anyone's game. I think it was truly anyone's game going into the competition, but definitely watching it, I was like, dude, like anyone could pop off. Obviously, I guess I'll just say I had Julian Weber winning it. I had
as well, yeah.
I had him winning. I had Chopper getting second, and then I had Curtis Thompson as bronze. I personally believed if Curtis went, I think I said in the last throw show, I said if he goes 87, he'll get a medal. Now, he didn't go 87. He went 86, 86, 67 to be specific, which is close to 87, but he earned himself a medal, which was like huge. I was ecstatic. I remember watching round 6 because they had a different format, but I was like, okay, like he secured a spot. I was super happy. Anderson Peters, obviously he's a phenomenal javelin thrower. He's thrown over 90 several, occasions. He did really well. He was kind of duking it out for that gold, but Walcott, he put it away on round 4 when he went 88-16. He was like, dude, like this is my competition. Yeah. I'm gonna win it. And it was just essentially after that mark, it was like, okay, I just gotta hold out until round 6, and then I got it. So I when I was watching it, I was like, dude, this is anyone's game, but it really wasn't.
One thing I wanted to bring up, 2 things anyway. So Julian did get pretty close to getting a medal. Again, I think I had him as my pick for world to win as well. I was happy to see Julius Diego, my guy, throw over 85 meters again. Unfortunately, there's a chance he may have re-upped one of his injuries. He had passed all of his final attempts. Yeah. So I hope he's doing okay because I really want to see him, reach that global state, reach that podium yet again. We also saw a really surprise athlete out of Sri Lanka as he goes 84 meters round 1, gets 7th place, makes the final. What do you think of an athlete? We're seeing more athletes from countries like India, Pakistan, and now Sri Lanka, like really making a name for themselves in the javelin. Like it's really cool to see all the different countries represented in this event. Countries that 10, 15 years ago, historically, you'd never see in a final.
Yeah, dude. No, I feel like just the sport of javelin as a whole has been diversifying itself.
Yeah.
Like quite a bit. You have these dudes from countries that you don't really typically think of in the norm of our sport, who are doing extremely well. Like they're making huge names for themselves. Obviously Chopper did it a few years ago, but I feel like ever since him, the birth of more so like javelin, from I guess my lens of it, I feel like has been huge with those countries, and athletes coming from those countries. So having someone like Pathridge, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure,
But
but
like
close enough.
close enough. Like that's huge, and that's
Yeah.
just gonna birth more athletes from those countries to be more involved into the sport and be motivated to learn about the sport and participate in the sport, and that's how our sport continues to grow. So
Yeah, and it's funny to see that Kishorn is the winner here because I feel like he was the first guy that was non-European to break through. I mean, of course, he's from the West Indies and Trinidad and Tobago, and it's kind of cool to see the entire podium of athletes from the Western Hemisphere, the Americas. Two West Indies athletes, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, and of course the United States, and then you have to go all the way down to fifth place with Weber before you get to a European athlete. So it's great to see where the sport is advancing. I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. I hope we start getting to, as we see other events in like the golden era. I feel like we may have passed the golden era in javelin. I feel like that may have been a few years ago where you had like multiple guys throwing over 90 meters at once. I hope with these up and coming newer athletes, we're going to get back to that quality of performance because I want to start seeing some 90-meter stadium throws again. I know Nadim did it last year in the Olympics. He was struggling with a knee injury this year, but I'm excited to see what happens in next year for the sport of javelin throwing.
absolutely.
And now we're going to get into the women's event. Again, this is another shock of shocks. Just like outside of Sam correctly choosing the bronze medalist in Curtis Thompson, I didn't get anybody right in my predictions for the men's javelin. So that means you get an extra point there. So I think we're standing at 5-4 currently. I didn't get anyone right for the women's javelin either. And we also saw a shocking result. New national record for Ecuador as we see Julisi Angelo throw 65 meters. New national record. Claim her first world championship, first time making the podium. I believe she competed in the NCAA because I noticed a lot of athletes were like cheering her on and knew of her before she even, just her making the game past qualifying. So to win a world championship is very, very exciting for the country of Ecuador. Again, we're seeing other athletes from the Western Hemisphere really start taking over the javelin throw. And then we see Annette Satina out of Latvia, new personal best to get the silver medal, 64-64. And then, of course, Mackenzie Little. We have seen her on the podium before multiple times, 63-58 for the bronze medal. Mackenzie always seems to find a way to make that podium. Sam, what'd you think of the women's javelin throw?
Yeah, dude, I felt like it was truly anyone's game. Even though I didn't pick Haruka to win it, I was like, dude, she'll definitely make the final. And unfortunately, she did not advance.
Broke my heart.
It broke my heart. I was like, wow. I was actually shook. I was like, wow. Because even though I said I didn't think she was going to win it, I put bets. I was like, oh, she's going to win it, dude. Like, she's going to win it. She's round 6. Like, she's going to go crazy. But with my women's javelin goat personally not in it, I was just like, it's truly anyone's game. And as I was watching it, I think towards the first like 3 attempts, I was like, okay, like Julisi clearly, like, she went huge. She went 65, and I was like,
only on just round 2.
Round 2, I was like, nah, dude. Like, I think personally at that point, I was like, I think she has it. And then that's where people really kind of start picking things up, towards the back end, especially Annette, because I feel like she had her first attempt was a foul, then she hit the 59, then she fouled, and when she was kind of like sitting in this limbo. But towards the back end of the competition, she really started to pick things up, going 59, then 63, and then 64 to secure silver. Mackenzie Little, kind of the same thing, very consistent. She opened up really well at 63-58, but kind of just coasted throughout the competition. And I felt like coasting, I hate to say it, but coasting was like the premise of this competition.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you either hit one early on and coasted, or you kind of coasted into the finals and then hit something towards the back end.
Yeah, the only other thing I kind of have to mention on it is just that, it's a shame that we saw Vilagos, who was so consistent this year over 65 meters, eighth place, 61 meters. And of course, the world leader, Victoria Hudson, didn't even break 60 meters. What do you think, you're more of a javelin expert than I am. Like, what do you think kind of leads to, I feel like javelin is one of those really hit or miss type events.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think kind of leads to like someone having like the best day possible and it's like a massive improvement on a throw versus like someone who might be more consistent at higher end but just not find on the day?
Yeah, I really just think it comes down to the preparation.
Okay.
I feel like that's amongst all the events. Obviously, javelin's very taxing on the body. Like it puts a lot of strain on, the upper parts of the body, which makes it a little difficult to compete, especially with how this year was, how the season was extremely long. So I feel like, a lot of these athletes, like it was tough,
Yeah.
to compete, especially, with all the circumstances, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's like you have to trust in your training, trust in your preparation at this point, and really just show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the ones who were prepared are the ones who showed up.
Yeah. And of course, like I said earlier, none of us got any points on this. We did not get any of the medals, but I think it's cool to see Mackenzie Little back on the podium. I think she's going to go down as definitely a legend in Australian athletics, but also potentially just the women's javelin in general. So now we are going to move on to the event for if you're associated with Garage Strength, if you're associated with Throws University, how happy we probably are based off the results of this event. This may have been, even beyond the results, the craziest throwing competition possibly in the history of a world championship.
Mm-hmm.
And it had nothing to do with the actual distances on the board.
Mm-hmm.
It had everything to do with the weather. So what's crazy to me about this is it was just torrential downpour for 2.5 hours. In the stadium. They had to stall the event multiple times. They had athletes come out. They start warming up. Everything's great. Downpour starts. And then Matthew Denny takes like a round one throw, slips super bad, just thankfully catches himself so he doesn't get injured. But it was clearly like the event, like the circle was so wet, you couldn't move without slipping. Mm-hmm. So the officials come in. He goes to the officials. They negate that throw, so it's like it never happened. And then they take all the athletes back to the call room. They try to wait out the rain again. They bring them back out, I think like 45 minutes later. And I'm watching this live on my phone in between train rides trying to meet up with Sam Mattis and our mutual friend Noah Kennedy White and Sam's wife. For the evening, and I'm just like seeing just the circle just full of rain, but also like all these officials in rain jackets trying to like mop it all up. So they come back out, try to do another warm up. I think they're trying to give the athletes like 1 or 2 warm ups before they start the competition again, since they got cold. And then as the officials were deliberating in the front and they're like, guys are doing dry runs, Andreas Goodzius takes a nasty tumble, like right in front of the officials, and they all look at him like, oh no. So they take him back again. And like, I can only imagine what that does to the psyche of an athlete. Mm-hmm. But what you're going to see is the medalists who came out on this event were ones that have done it before, been at these majors, had the experience, know what it takes to medal. And, you saw veterans be the ones that came out on top today, as we saw Daniel Stahl capture, I believe, his 3rd world championship, his 2nd gold in this stadium, as he is the Tokyo Olympic champion, on his round 6 throw. Probably going to go down as one of the greatest discus throwers of all time. Mikolas Alekna, the world record holder through 75 meters earlier this year in Ramona. Heavy favorite. We both had him picked to win. Walks away with another silver medal. World Championship, still hasn't yet to capture gold at a major. And then the result that's just Man, I can't help but put a smile on my face every time I see it. As Garage Strength's own, Throws University's own, Alex Rose of Samoa captures his first global medal, 66.96, round 5, to become a bronze medalist in the craziest discus competition probably of all time. I wished I put Alex on my predictions because, man, that would have been a 5-head move. But, you know, I think what it comes down to is, Alex has been competing at every major since 2013 in Moscow. And he's 33 years old now. He's been working with Dane for 10 years. So, like, Alex's technique and his training is kind of like the basis for everything we do at Throws University, at least in regards to the discus throw and how we train throwers. So it's very cool to see personally. But Sam, I want you to give me your perspective on this competition.
Yeah, dude, watching the competition, as soon as it was like, I think the competition was 7:10. I was up at 7 o'clock. I was ready for the competition. And I remember watching it, and I started to notice, like, the rain coming down. I was like, oh, no. And then it really started coming down. I was like, oh, no. Like, obviously, rain is the discus' like, mortal enemy. Like, rain in discus, it's awful. It stinks. So I was like, this is truly anyone's game now at this point. From what I remember, Alekna was the first one to throw. He went 62.91, but you could tell, like, the rain, like, was definitely a big factor in that. And then it was Denny Denny was second, and he slipped, like, immediately. And it was just, like, it was so bad to the point where I was like, dude, like, they need to, like, postpone this competition, which they did. They came back, they did some drills. It was still bad, and I was just like, dude, like, I don't even know what they're gonna do. Like, I felt awful for these guys because it's like, you train all year, you prepare all year for this one moment, for you to literally get the bad hand. Like, if you're thinking about, like, cards or, like, drawing a stick, like, you drew the worst possible stick out there. But obviously, it just got to the point where the competition had to resume. Like, they couldn't stall any more than what they already did. They couldn't postpone it more than what they did. And from what I remember, or at least from round 2, I remember Lechner going 67.84, and I was like, he did it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like, with how poor the conditions are, he was able to get one out early on, and I was like, dude, like, he's definitely going to get himself a medal.
Yeah.
Now, I personally thought that medal was going to be a gold, just based on the conditions, and, like, he was able to get one out there. But I knew for a fact, I was like, okay, he's going to get himself a medal. And then it was like, who else is going to get a medal? And then, obviously, we go through the competition.
But before you get into that, though, what do you think of attempt 2 when Alex went 64?
I thought it was a good attempt.
I thought that was like, oh my gosh, I thought that was like securing a medal, that throw.
I think at that point, I wasn't fully bought that would earn him a medal, but I was like, he's definitely in a good spot.
Yeah.
He's in a good spot to advance and to make sure that he gets 6 tosses.
Yeah, and following that, the Cuban Diaz, who was having a great meet, he did great in qualifying, passed him by only a few centimeters.
Yeah.
And then the following round after that, Denny passed him. So I thought, oh man, like,
Yeah.
I thought that was it for Alex.
Yeah. I think just as people start to get attempts in, I think Mario was a big gamer. Like, he didn't care about the rain. He was like, I'm here to compete. He obviously did that. Denny obviously showed up, attempt 3, like, he finally put one together. I felt like these guys were really trying to put things together, like Goodsius, obviously, the other Alekna, obviously Christian Che was trying to battle it out. Like, I feel like these guys were really trying to get past the condition, get past the rain, and just give their all with, what they had. Now, obviously, it wasn't quite to that standard. Like, I feel like there were lulls in this competition where it was like the conditions are just that bad that, like, these guys can't really show, like, what they can truly show.
Right.
And it was just to the point where, like, I think, attempt 4, I thought it was like kind of like, dude, like this is tough. Obviously, Stahl went big, but I was like, this round is tough. A little bit of the same thing in round 3. A little bit, round 5 outside of the top 3. Obviously, Alex went big to secure, the third spot at least. And then obviously Stahl went big. Alekna went semi-big. And then obviously going into attempt 6, we knew Alex won it. Now, I remember because I unfortunately had coaching that morning and I had to leave. I left into, I think, the middle of round 4. And I had the stats. I was following all the way through. And I was like, dude, I think because Alex was either 4th or 5th at that point.
He was 5th.
5th. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was like, okay. I was like, in my mind, I was like, I really hope that Alex doesn't take his foot off the gas because he could win a medal. And I said that as I was leaving the door. And once I got over, because I was coaching Javelin, once I got over to the ring, I saw that he went big. And I was like, yes, like I'm popping off. The athlete I was coaching, she was looking at me. And I was like, one of our teammates he just went into the bronze medal spot. And I'm popping off. And I was like, dude, I am so glad that Alex didn't take his foot off the pedal. Because I was like, dude, like he has been in these conditions before. Like, being in our area, being on the East Coast, or he's Midwest, but like being on this side of the U.S., like you have poor conditions, not year round, but like a good chunk of the year. So like, you're exposed to poor weather, and you have to learn how to compete or train and just adapt to that poor weather. And I was like, dude, if he just stays in that right mindset, he'll do it, and he did.
So what's funny is he immediately told Dane when it started pouring down rain, he's like, I'm gonna do something today, because he's like, I know how to throw in these conditions.
Yeah.
There's so many times where he's thrown in Michigan where just pouring rain. He's like, well, gotta get training in somehow, and he used that to his advantage. And that's where, dude, like you gotta think this is a 12-year journey he's been on.
Mm-hmm.
First World Championships was in 2013, throwing like 57 meters.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward 12 years, and now he's throwing almost 10 meters further in a stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it's the thing is like, so this is going to be my announcement. We're actually going to be doing a podcast. We did a podcast, but you will see that podcast next Saturday. After this video goes live, where we did a hour and a half long breakdown of Alex's career, as well as his perspective on these championships. You get to see him, with his bronze medal. It was such a cool moment. If you saw any of the media that we have from the event, you know that Dane was breaking down in tears. I was in a karaoke bar in Shinjuku breaking down in tears, because I know what that means for, not only Alex, but everyone around Alex, what it means for the work that we've done to try to, promote the sport. And really just like, it couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Yeah.
Alex is like probably one of the nicest people I've ever met. I always, I kind of poke fun and be like, he's like a human golden retriever. Like you feel good when you're around him. So you're going to hear really a deep dive into what led to that bronze medal. And he also has some feeling that he has way more left to give in the sport. And I think that's the interesting part about something like the men's discus, especially, is you see a lot of these guys not really hit their prime until like their mid-30s. And that's kind of showing true for Alex. And we're even seeing that with Daniel Stahl. Like Daniel Stahl is probably gonna have a second wind of a career now, because we can't, finish this video off without talking about his round 6 throw.
Yeah,
we're talking about a guy who, was in the silver medal position after attempt 4, but just like Alex, and this is one thing I want to say about Alex and Daniel Stahl, that if you watch them, not during their throws, but in between their throws, while everyone else might be shrugging it off or they're sighing and they seem upset, every time the camera cut to Alex, you could just tell there's laser focus in his eyes, that he knew he was going to do something big.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel took a different approach. he was playing in the rain. He was like playing with his umbrella. He was just happy to be there. He knew he had a job to do, but the way he expresses that confidence in what he does is being a bit more playful. And the fact that, like, dude, that guy knew walking in, he's like, I've done this before because he did in 2023 in Budapest, the round 6. He's like, the absolute confidence of this man goes up to the circle before he even enters the circle, bows to the crowd.
Yeah, bro, he knew.
Because one, it shows that he knew he was going to launch something. Two, he was paying respect to the fact that there were people still in that stadium willing to watch Discus after like an hour of all the events already finishing. So he wanted to like pay respect to the crowd that were even willing to watch them still. And then round 6, Daniel
Round 6
Stahl,
magic.
70 meters in those conditions. Like, I know it dried up a little bit by that point, but like not even that much earlier, like round 5, like it was still raining. Like if you watch Alex's throw, I'm convinced that if he stayed on his left longer and he actually really got to get a good entry, Alex would have thrown like 68 to 69 meters. I think he was in that kind of shape, but he had to like be really quick off his left because it was too slick for him to really work into it. By that point, like Daniel got to work a little bit more into it, but still had to be slightly conservative. And the fact that he threw 70 meters like on a throw like that, like people are talking that he's the greatest discus thrower of all time. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far yet. I think Virgilius Alekna, they might have the same amount of medals currently, so I'm still not sure if he might be about even with Alekna, the father of the silver medalist. But dude, he's definitely approached legend status, and it's gonna be crazy to see what he does in Beijing in 2 years.
Absolutely. Dude, like you said, 70-47, bows to the crowd, knew he did it. He's done it. He's been in that scenario before. He did it again. I was talking to Taman and a couple of the guys, and it's like, I have a list of who not to bet against. And I personally had Alekna in there because I was like, well, I didn't have him in there, but I was like, he is a clear favorite. I'm sorry, Alekna got bumped out. Stahl is in there. Never again will I bet.
Well, I think it goes back to like, dude, we always talk about this, but Alekna's still so young. He's 22,
he's
23.
young.
Like,
He's very
to
young.
me, Stahl and Alex's performance were the performance of veterans.
Yeah.
Those were
That's
the
fair.
performances of people that know what it takes to throw far because they've been in these situations before.
That's fair.
And where other athletes folded, Alex saw an opportunity. Where Stahl saw that maybe Alekna just didn't have much left to give, he saw an opportunity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, these world championships are crazy, man. Make sure you tune into our next episode that's going to be coming up. Make sure you please tune into that podcast. We're going to be doing a collab. It's going to be on the Garage Strength YouTube account, but we're going to collab with the Throws University account. So if you're subscribed to this account, you should be able to see that podcast. We're super proud of this performance. You're going to see Dane break down a little bit. There's a spoiler for you because it just means so much to everyone involved. It means so much to Alex. And it's exciting to see where this is going to set him up for his career next year because he has some goals, even with it not being a World Championships here. The Commonwealth Games are next year, so that's going to be his big meet to compete at. And honestly, just, thank you for supporting us this long. And we've been able to help facilitate someone like Alex's training over the last few years because it does mean a lot to us. And it shows that, the support that you give us also supports athletes that are chasing their dreams. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one because it's always important to make sure you keep watching these throwing videos, improve your knowledge so you can drop some bombs. Peace.